And we're right back at it for Psalm 10. Just a note of just how closely connected Psalms 9 and 10 are. In some translations, like the Septuagint, they appear as one psalm, and that's why sometimes if you do any in-depth study on the Psalms, you might notice that it looks like this reference is wrong or it's off by one. It's because these two sometimes are collapsed into one. And so what we look at in our Bible as Psalm 11 is listed as Psalm 10 in the Septuagint. And we see why that happens because we just got done with Psalm 9 where we're looking at to God for help in establishing justice over the wicked. And Psalm 10 kind of looks at it again, as I mentioned in that video, from the human perspective and says, why does it look like the Lord is standing so far off and not really worrying about this, not doing anything about this? And so when it comes to our perception of evil, maybe sometimes we get the feeling that either we ourselves or we say to others, you're taking this too seriously. It's not as bad as it looks. When we read Psalm 10, well, maybe it is. The verses 2 through 8 or 9 paints a really ugly picture about how wickedness and the plans of the unbelieving world really are a plot against us and a serious one. And maybe as we read Psalm 10, it's that warning to take this spiritual warfare seriously than perhaps we do. And again, not relying on our own strength or abilities, but doing what David does in this psalm. Again, crying out to the Lord to bring that deliverance and trusting in him, basing that trust on the fact that was related in Psalm 9. The Lord reigns forever. He will take action. Let's read through Psalm 10 then. Why, O Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? In his arrogance, the wicked man hunts down the weak, who are caught in the schemes he devises. He boasts of the cravings of his heart. He blesses the greedy and reviles the Lord. In his pride, the wicked does not seek him. In all his thoughts, there is no room for God. His ways are always prosperous. He is haughty, and your laws are far from him. He sneers at all his enemies. He says to himself, nothing will shake me. I'll always be happy and never have trouble. His mouth is full of curses and lies and threats. Trouble and evil are under his tongue. He lies in wait near the villages. From ambush he murders the innocent, watching in secret for his victims. He lies in wait like a lion in cover. He lies in wait to catch the helpless. He catches the helpless and drags them off in his net. His victims are crushed. They collapse. They fall under his strength. He says to himself, God has forgotten. He covers his face and never sees. Arise, Lord, lift up your hand, O God. Do not forget the helpless. Why does the wicked man revile God? Why does he say to himself, he won't call me to account? But you, O God, do see trouble and grief. You consider it to take it in hand. The victim commits himself to you. You are the helper of the fatherless. Break the arm of the wicked and evil man. Call him to account for his wickedness that would not be found out. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations will perish from his land. You hear, O Lord, the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed, in order that man who is of the earth may terrify no more. Two closing thoughts after reading those verses. Notice how it's almost, I believe I mentioned this in Psalm 9's meditation as well. This is almost a warning call to the wicked person who is trying to overpower the weak and take advantage of them. You think the Lord's not seeing what you're doing? He does. And then that call for help, break the arm of the wicked and evil man. When you have broken arms, you can't do much. You have to sit back and recover before you're able to do anything. So with these words, in a very forceful way, David is asking God to disrupt the plans and the actions of the sinful and wicked who would oppress the weak. And notice, I guess, the closing thought about our God. He is a father to the fatherless. He is the strength and helper of the oppressed. And when we recognize that about God, when we see that he is a refuge for us, he is there for us, wants us to call on him in times of trouble, that's a comforting thought, and it takes away whatever terror or fear we might have of being oppressed by those who are over us, knowing that the justice that their actions demand is in the hands of one who is ultimately not only able, but going to carry out that justice. Thanks for joining me for this meditation on Psalm 10.